Hi, welcome to the show. Last week we told you we'd be chatting to British climbing royalty in the form of Sir Chris Bonington, and we asked for your questions. Well, we spoke to him, we put the questions to him, and here's the answers.
I just discovered it really at the age of 16, and I'd seen the mountains from a distance, and then with a mate from mine at school. I was actually brought up in London, went to a London day school, and at the age of 16, in the middle of winter, we hitchhiked up to Snowdonia with the aim of climbing Snowdon. We chose the hardest winter of many years. It was plastered in snow. We knew absolutely nothing about it, but we arrived below the mountain, and in the car park there were a couple of guys with ice axes, so we thought they must know what they're doing. So we followed them. We got halfway up Snowdon, and there was an avalanche. We were swept down about 300 feet, and I suppose that's where the end of the story could have been, but it wasn't. And we got back to the youth hostel that night. The next day, Anton, my mate, hitchhiked back to London, never to go into the mountains again. I was totally hooked, and I found out some people, a couple of guys in the youth hostel who'd done a bit of climbing, and they were talking about it, and I thought, I'd better give that a go. And so the moment I touched rock after that, I knew I'd found something that I loved. The mountains can throw all kinds of things at you. There are some of the crises that you've got to get through yourself, and I suppose from this point of view, the ogre was one of the most extreme things that I've ever been on. It's an unclimbed peak, or was an unclimbed peak of 7,400 metres in the Karakoram. And Doug Scott and I made the first ascent, reached the top, and everything had gone smoothly till that point. And then on the very first abseil from the summit, his rope was at an angle, he fell, had a huge pendulum, broke both legs, and from that everything went wrong. We'd stretched things to the limit. There were 4 of us, 2 others in the camp just below. Doug, we couldn't have carried him down, he had to crawl down. It was a long, complicated descent. The weather broke on us. We'd run out of food, went 5 days without anything to eat. I had a fall, broke my ribs, and it was tough, but you just learn with that. You take every moment as it comes and you just work through it. But that was a bit broken, but the hardest thing is not so much what happens to you, it's what happens to others. And the hard thing is when close friends of yours on an expedition that you've led, for which you feel responsible, lose their lives. But the key thing is, yes, it's losing friends on the mountains. It's the hardest thing. I suppose of the various things I've done in climbing, and the biggest things in some ways are things like climbing and making the first ascent to the southwest face of Everest, and of course south face of Annapurna, which were at that time large expeditions. It seemed the only way to do it, and there were huge logistic challenges, particularly the southwest face of Everest, both in terms of planning, keeping together a group of highly individualistic climbers, and everything else. So all of that made it hugely challenging, and from that point of view, I think Everest Southwest Face in 1975 was my biggest challenge, and one that I do feel proud of, because we were successful, and it was a good, happy expedition where everyone worked incredibly well together, but once again tinged with sadness, because right at the end, of course, Mick Burke, dear friend, in fact, in the second ascent, lost his life. I wouldn't change anything at all in what had happened, because I think my philosophy of life is that Life chucks all kinds of things at you. Some bad things, you make big mistakes, you face tragedies and so on. But you've got to learn from those and you've got to go forward. So I believe that you should live in the present and look forward to the future and use experience in the past to help you go forward effectively.
Thanks Chris, and congratulations on a well-deserved and possibly slightly overdue Piolet d'Or Lifetime Achievement Award. So, from the sublime to the ridiculous, here's Adam.
Thanks Charlie. This week in climbing, people finally remembered what the internet is for, with cats, baby photos, and well, weird stuff taking centre stage. The theme of unconventional climbing continued as a video showing Johnny Dawes practicing his famed no-handed climbing quickly went viral.
It's a virus.
Characteristically for Johnny, the video contained a few choice quotes.
Sometimes if I find I really can't focus, I find it's useful to let out a sound. If you were Star Trek, you would have landed on a planet and the music you hear is like nothing on Earth.
In all seriousness though, the video is a great watch, and it's always nice to be reminded that a portly, middle-aged man is still better than you at climbing. And now onto a climber who could doubtless beat Johnny in a no-footed competition, even if not a no-handed one. It's the Alex Puccio Award, and this week's runner-up is Alistair Lee with this. Impressive. But this week's winner, back at the top, is Alex Puccio with this.
I think there's so many factors that go into, winning competitions, and it's a little bit of luck, a little bit of the setting, style, the walls. If you have a bad day or a good day, if you're injured, if you're not injured.
Oh, a request for extra money to go and compete in the World Cups. Seems a little bit ridiculous that the best athlete of all time is having to ask for extra money to go and compete in the World Cups, especially when she's probably going to win as well. I know I've emptied all of my money into her Rally Me fund. You should feel free to give her all of your money as well. But there's no reason why you have to, but do. It's up to you really, but do. All of it.
Show me the money.
Financial power to the Pooch. Remember to keep hashtagging your training photos and videos Puccio Power. We'll see you next week on the social.
Thanks Adam. Last thing before we go, if you want to see me or Adam in HD or when you're offline, you can get the EpicTV app at iTunes or the Google Play Store. We'll see you tomorrow.